In 1981, at a medical conference in Riyadh, one of the world's most renowned embryologists stood before hundreds of doctors and said something that shocked everyone. "I have studied embryology for over 30 years, but the Quran taught me what I never learned in all those years." This is Dr. Keith Moore, professor at the University of Toronto, author of the most famous embryology textbook in the world, translated into 8 languages, a devout Christian who believed in the Bible his entire life. But what he discovered in the Quran changed everything. This is his incredible story. Dr. Keith Moore wasn't just any scientist. He was a professor at the University of Toronto in Canada, one of the world's most prestigious universities. His book, The Developing Human, is taught in medical schools in over 100 countries. He received numerous international awards in anatomy and embryology. For decades, he dedicated his life to understanding how human life begins. He studied every stage of embryonic development under the microscope. He taught thousands of medical students. He was at the top of his field. But in the late 1970s, he received a letter that would change his life forever. The letter came from Saudi Arabia. Sheikh Abdul Majid al-Zindani was gathering scientists from different fields to study something unusual: scientific miracles in the Quran. The Sheikh told him, "Dr. Moore, the Quran speaks about the stages of embryonic development in precise detail. We want you to examine these verses." At first, Dr. Moore was skeptical. How could a book written 1,400 years ago describe embryology? There were no microscopes back then, no ultrasounds, no medical technology, no way to see inside the womb. But his scientific curiosity pushed him to accept the invitation. He wanted to see for himself. When Dr. Moore arrived in Saudi Arabia, they showed him verses from Surah Al-Mu'minun, chapter 23. He read, "And certainly we created man from an extract of clay. Then we made him a small seed in a firm resting place. Then we made the seed a clinging clot. Then we made the clot a lump of flesh. Then we made the lump of flesh bones. Then we clothed the bones with flesh. Then we caused it to grow into another creation. So blessed be Allah, the best of creators." Dr. Moore read it carefully. The Quran was describing stages, specific stages of embryonic development, in sequence. He decided to examine each word scientifically. The first word that caught his attention was alaka. In Arabic, alaka has 3 meanings: something that clings or hangs, a leech, a blood clot. Dr. Moore returned to his lab in Canada. He pulled out images of human embryos at 23 to 24 days of development, and he was shocked. The embryo at this stage looks exactly like a leech. It has the same curved shape, the same dark red color from the blood inside, and it clings to the uterine wall, just like a leech clings to skin. He compared the images side by side, a 24-day embryo and a leech. They were nearly identical. But how could Muhammad, peace be upon him, know this 1,400 years ago? There was no way to see inside the womb, no technology, no microscopes, yet the Quran used the perfect word, alaka, the clinging leech-like clot. Dr. Moore was stunned. Then he moved to the next stage, mudga. In Arabic, mudga means a chewed substance, like a piece of meat that has been chewed. Dr. Moore looked at images of the embryo at 28 days, and once again, he was amazed. The embryo at this stage has visible marks on its surface. These marks are called somites, the building blocks of muscles and bones, and they look exactly like teeth marks on a chewed piece of meat. He took a piece of clay, chewed it with his teeth, and compared it to the embryo image. The resemblance was undeniable. The Quran didn't just describe the shape, it used the perfect analogy that anyone could understand. A chewed lump of flesh. But again, how could anyone know this 1,400 years ago? The somites are only visible under magnification. Yet the Quran described them with perfect accuracy. Then Dr. Moore read the next part of the verse. Then we made the lump of flesh bones, then we clothed the bones with flesh. This was the most shocking discovery of all. In modern embryology, we know that bones form first in the embryo. The cartilage skeleton develops first. Then, after the bones begin to form, the muscles, the flesh, develop around them and cover them. Exactly as the Quran states, bones first, then flesh. But for centuries, the Quran got the sequence exactly right. Dr. Moore checked his own textbook. He checked every embryology reference. The Quran was 100% accurate. Dr. Moore spent months studying more verses. Every verse he examined matched perfectly with modern embryology. The stages, the sequence, the terminology, everything was scientifically accurate. He realized something profound. This knowledge could not have come from a human being in the 7th century. There was no way Muhammad, peace be upon him, could have known these details. He couldn't see inside the womb. He had no medical training. He couldn't read or write. Yet the Quran describes embryology with precision that matches 20th century science. Dr. Moore came to one conclusion. This must be divine revelation. In 1981, at the 7th Medical Conference in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, Dr. Moore presented his research. He stood before hundreds of the world's top doctors and scientists. He showed slide after slide comparing Quranic verses with modern embryology. Then, he said the words that shocked the entire audience. It is clear to me that these statements must have come to Muhammad from God, because almost all of this knowledge was not discovered until many centuries later. He continued, "This proves to me that Muhammad must have been a messenger of God." The room fell silent. One of the world's leading embryologists was testifying to the divine origin of the Quran. But Dr. Moore didn't stop there. Dr. Moore went back to Canada and did something unprecedented. He rewrote his famous textbook, The Developing Human. In the 3rd edition, published in 1982, he added a new section. He included Quranic descriptions of embryonic development. He wrote, "The Quran describes not only the development of external form, but also emphasizes the internal stages, the stages inside the embryo." He used Quranic terminology alongside modern scientific terms. His textbook became the first medical textbook in history to acknowledge Quranic scientific miracles. It's still used in medical schools worldwide today. Many people ask, did Dr. Keith Moore officially convert to Islam? While he never made a public declaration of Shahada on camera, his statements were crystal clear. He said in multiple interviews, "I have no difficulty in my mind reconciling that this is a divine inspiration or revelation." It is clear that these statements could not have been known to anyone 1400 years ago. Muhammad must have been a messenger of God. Whether he officially converted or not, his scientific testimony remains one of the strongest proofs of the Quran's divine origin. His research opened the door for thousands of scientists to study the Quran, and countless people embraced Islam after reading his work. Dr. Moore's testimony changed the world of Islamic dawah forever. His research has been translated into dozens of languages. His lectures have been watched by millions. Medical students around the world study his textbook and see the Quranic references. He proved that the Quran is not just a book of spiritual guidance. It's a book of scientific facts that were impossible to know 1400 years ago. He showed that faith and science are not enemies. They point to the same truth. Dr. Keith Moore's story teaches us something powerful.